What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes, or in the case of the captions here on YouTube, gigs and gay cats, whoever you are, welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today it is an evolution episode of Michael Keaton's Batsuits from Batman 89, Batman Returns, and The Flash, the upcoming Flash film that is coming out in June. We're also going to give an honorable mention to the cancelled Batgirl film. Now, essentially, it's pretty much the same Batsuit from The Flash that was used in Batgirl, worn by Michael Keaton and his stunt crew. But if you are new to the Evolution episodes, it's just essentially me geeking out over costumes from my favorite comic book films. I still am yet to do a Batfleck one. You think that would be the first cab off the rank in terms of this Evolution series, but essentially with this series, I just go over the different costumes from a certain character, some fun facts about it, how the suits were made, how they've evolved, what they've added, and what they've taken away, and where we are now. And of course, with the hype around The Flash, I want to talk about Michael Keaton's Batsuits, and as cliche as it sounds, Keaton was a big part of my childhood in terms of being my Batman. Then of course we had Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Bale, Affleck, and now Pattinson, and whoever the hell is going to be next with the Brave and the Bold, the upcoming announcement from James Gunn with who the next Batman is going to be. So sit back, relax, and let's talk some Keaton Batsuits. Now, first cab off the rank is the 1989 Batsuit, a game changer. Again, as cliche as it sounds, but it was revolutionary at the time in terms of costuming and costuming technology. Now, when costume designers Bob Ringwood and Vin Burnham got together with Tim Burton, who was directing the film, to figure out how they were going to make this costume but make it dark and believable, the first mandate was we don't want spandex and we don't want Reg Grundys on the outside of the suit. Now, it had worked for Christopher Reeve as Superman, but they just didn't feel that undies on the outside of a spandex, grey or black suit would work for Batman. And Tim Burton always had the notion of a yellow and black combination for the Batsuit. Now, once Michael Keaton was cast, much to the chagrin of a lot of Batman fans, they got to work on the costume. So they obviously took a life cast of Michael. They also had to take a life cast of his stunt performers. One of them was David Lee, who was the martial artist. They came up with the idea of having foam latex muscles or armor mounted over a Lycra bodysuit. Now, a lot of people do say that it was a neoprene wetsuit, but it was actually a thinner Lycra suit that had a thin layer of latex applied over it to blend in with the foam latex armor. They didn't start using neoprene until Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, of course, Batman Begins. So they got to work sculpting the armor. They were trying to figure out if they were going to be doing something a lot more hard edge, almost like plating, which we eventually saw in Batman Returns. But instead, they opted for soft anatomy, just a vague look at the muscle tone definition of the human anatomy, the male human anatomy. They didn't want something too over the top, which eventually is what we got in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. But they just wanted something that was a nice throwback to the human anatomy and just gave the illusion of strength. Once the pieces were finalized in terms of the sculpture work on Michael Keaton's life cast, they were then molded, and then we had cores made where foam latex was injected into these molds along with the cowl. Now, the cowl was something that they wanted to blend in and all have the suit kind of look like one piece, but also have a bat skin / rough quality to it. Once the foam pieces were removed from the mold, they were then dried out because foam latex does retain a lot of water, trimmed and mounted onto the Lycra suit. Again, the Lycra was then treated with a coat, some sort of a latex mixture to blend in with the foam latex armor. Now, when it came to the actual chest emblem of the bat, we have two extra prongs down the bottom. A lot of people say this was because of a copyright issue, which was not the case. It was purely Tim Burton just wanting to beef up and toughen up the look of the bat symbol. Again, fans weren't exactly on board with it, and that's why they changed it back to the classic look in Batman Returns. Keaton's 89 cowl also had what's called power mesh inserted into it, and this footage here of him putting on the cowl, you can see that he could essentially take it on and off like a hood, even though this footage gives me ridiculous anxiety. You try doing that in a urethane cowl now, that thing is gonna pop just like that. When it came to the cape, they were trying to figure something out. Is it going to be a cloth cape, some sort of a leather cape? But then they came up with the notion of a latex cape and have a texture on it, much in the vein of a bat skin look. Bob Ringwood, Vin Burnham, and the rest of the costuming crew came up with the idea of making a tabletop mold where they could have material and then embed the latex into it. So they had different types of capes. They had a heavy cape to make it look like it's like a heavy sort of bat skin. They had a field cape where it was much lighter, stunt capes. The cape would then anchor down to the foam armor, and then the cowl was anchored on top. So essentially you are bolted and locked in place. And that's where we got the famous Keaton head turn. Michael, the stunt crew, were unable to properly do a head turn, which we saw later in BVS where they cracked the code for that. But that's where we got the famous Keaton head turn. And I think it's just so charming and just a part of what makes Michael Keaton an awesome Batman. As we all know, the boots were made by Nike. Well, part of the boot for that matter. Warner Brothers was trying to strike a deal with Nike. They were trying to figure something out for the film. And then the costume designers and also the marketing crew came up with the idea, let's have Nike make part of the boot. The main part of the boot for that matter. So essentially it was a Nike shoe, but then they also made the stem of it with the laces and stuff like that. And then they would place the armor on top of it, like the spats and stuff like that. Michael and the stunt crew absolutely loved them because they're Nikes. They're absolutely comfortable as. And the piece de resistance was using black eye makeup to kind of center in and bring the cowl all together instead of having just bare skin there, or having the foam latex go all the way to the eye where it would look quite cheesy, and as the costume designers and Tim Burton said, like a carnival mask. So I just feel that has just always worked. You can't go wrong with it. They still use that method to this day with some costumes. Overall, it's a brutal, gritty, and raw looking suit. And when you look at Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and then as Batman, it's chalk and cheese, day and night for that matter, with how intimidating he looks in the suit, the Keaton pout, his stature, everything. He is a wonderful Batman, and that suit definitely complements his take on the Dark Knight. Now this comes as good time because we have a brand new Batman 89 statue from Prime 1 Studios that has just been released. I'm not sure if it's up for pre-order just yet. I'd have to go check out the website, but the photos have been released by Prime 1 and it looks incredible. I'm pretty sure this is 1/3 scale, but my god, this is an awesome looking statue. It's something that is very cool. If they did do a Batman Returns version of this, I would love to grab that. So when Batman 89 came out, it was a huge hit, an absolute blockbuster, and then Warner Brothers approached Tim Burton and said, we want you back for a new Batman film, and this time you have complete creative control, and that's essentially why we got the Tim version, which I really love. I love how dark it is, but this also required a brand new Batsuit, still sticking very similar to the aesthetic and the color scheme of the 89 suit, but something a lot more refined and sharper. So of course, because the sequel was greenlit, it meant more money and more time, so more prep time for the Batsuit. Michael Keaton came back. He also had some notes about a new suit. He wanted extra zippers here and there, especially in the pants area, just to make it a lot more practical. And by that time, they had refined their workings with the foam latex and the mold making point of view. But this time, they wanted something a lot more hard edge and armor plating. Something similar to what they were tinkering with on 89. But this time they wanted hard edge plating. So they actually looked at Art Deco designs and even vacuum cleaners and steam trains. Really weird, but it worked. So again, they took a brand new live cast of Michael Keaton, the stunt crew, especially David Lee, and I will touch on that in a minute because there are some cracker photos of David Lee in his return stunt suit. But this time around, they took molds and then polished the armor and the cowl up and refined them until they were glass smooth. They were going for smoothness and sharpness this time around with the Returns Batsuit. Now, when it came to refining the cowl, they brought in famed sculptor Steve Wang, who essentially, like the costume designers said, polished it up like a concept car clay sculpture. The thing is so sharp looking, and I love how it hugs Michael Keaton's face and the rest of the suit. It just works so well together. And of course, they changed the chest emblem back to the traditional look of the Bat logo just because of a bit of fan backlash. Again, Tim Burton just wanted to make it look a bit more tough. I don't really understand how that made it look more tough. It just looked very odd to me at first. I still remember when I was a kid even looking at it and thinking something was off. And what we got was a more refined, more flexible suit. And here are some photos of martial artist David Lee, who unfortunately passed away last year in 2022, who on his Facebook page shares some wonderful high-res photos of him getting his fittings done for the stunt suit. Now, what I've noticed is it is a Lycra undersuit, some sort of Lycra or spandex undersuit that they use, but this time for David's suits, they didn't coat it in the latex, because when you do coat it in the latex, you do restrict your movement a bit more, but by just having the raw Lycra and the armor pieces glued down on top of it, you get a lot more flexibility and mobility. And you got to keep in mind, David being the martial artist stunt performer, it's one of those things where you're going to see flashes of him, blurs of him. You're not going to know it's David or Michael in the suit. So they need flexibility, especially when he's doing those high kicks and all those martial arts moves. Very cool to see it nonetheless. And he got his own suit sculpted for him, which is normally unheard of. Usually for stunt suits, they will go to the original molds, even though it won't hug the stunt performer the exact same way it hugs the principal actor. Personally, the return suit is a massive favorite of mine. Again, I love how sharp and bulky the cowl is on Michael Keaton's face. I just love the overall aesthetic of it. Don't get me wrong, I still love what they started with on 89. They definitely paved the way for how costuming technology is today, and the return suit is just a credit to them in terms of what they've learned to do in terms of new techniques and how foam latex technology had changed and how they refined their mixtures. Now, most of us know Michael Keaton did sign on for Batman Forever. Tim Burton was attached, Michael Keaton was keen, and then Tim Burton stepped back and became a producer on the film, and with that, Michael Keaton bowed out and said, unless Tim's directing, I don't want to be a part of it. But we do have some concept sculptures here of some maquettes of Keaton in his possible Batman Forever batsuit, which still looks pretty cool and very reminiscent of what we ultimately got in Batman Forever. But after that, things just lay dormant in terms of Keaton portraying the Dark Knight until now. We have the upcoming Flash and the unfortunately cancelled Batgirl film. But let's take a look at Keaton's Batsuit, or should I say Batsuits, in the Flash. Now, with nostalgia selling like absolute hotcakes over the last couple of years, it was announced that Michael Keaton, along with Ben Affleck, were going to be coming back for The Flash. So obviously it's going to take place in alternate timelines, and we see a very older looking Bruce Wayne, but we have a brand new Batsuit, something that is definitely a hybrid of Val Kilmer's Panther suit and the return suit. We're going for the aesthetic of hard armor plating. The interesting thing is this time around, when set photos were leaking out, especially from the Batgirl set, because they ultimately used the same suit from the Flash for Batgirl, just a few things changed here and there, but overall it is the same suit. A lot of people were saying that's a stunt suit. See how the suit hugs the body and moves, or lack thereof? That's a stunt suit. This is not the case. The whole suit, including Michael Keaton's hero suits, are made entirely of urethane mounted on an undersuit. I'm not sure if it is spandex or neoprene at this stage. Again, we're only limited with what we've got with the trailer and set photos and studio photos and stuff like that. From what I've been told, it is a full urethane suit, which definitely changes the way you move in the suit and the way the suit behaves, as opposed to a much more flexible and forgiving foam latex. And of course, that glorious shot of Keaton coming out in the suit and saying, "Yeah, I'm Batman." He just looks badass. Like I said in my trailer reaction for The Flash, he hasn't missed a beat. Even though the guy's in his 70s, he still looks incredible. Old man Bruce Wayne, looking like a badass. And there's not much else to say about the Flash suit. Obviously, the film hasn't come out yet. We're still in February. But we got a nice little Easter egg in the TV spot that accompanied the Super Bowl trailer. And this is a glorious shot of Keaton's Batsuit vault with an array of Batsuits that is just fan service at its finest. We look at this screenshot here, starting from the left. We have a Batsuit that actually has the Adam West chest logo with torso holsters that apparently accompany his grappling guns. Next up, we have The Dark Knight Returns / Brave Foggle / Alex Ross inspired looking Batsuit that almost has a blue and grey hue going on there. Moving along, we have the 89 suit that is still burnt from the events at the end of Batman 89. Smack bang in the center, we have the Keaton Batsuit that is going to be used predominantly throughout the Flash movie. Moving along, we have the beautiful and sharp looking return suit. Next up, we have the scuba looking suit. And finally, we have an almost Gotham by Gaslight / Nightmare inspired Batsuit. So this is very cool. No idea if Keaton's going to be wearing any of these, or it's just for fan service and we just see a static shot right here. But from the TV spot, we see what looks like a long-haired old man, withered Bruce Wayne going into the vault. It might be one of those things where Barry hypes him up, gets him back into the suit, cuts his hair, and he's like, yes, I'm going to be Batman once again. There you have it, guys. The evolution of Michael Keaton's Batsuit. So if I were to pick a favorite, I'd have to say either the return suit or the Gotham by Gaslight / Nightmare inspired suit from the vault in the TV spot. Even though he's probably not going to wear it, just imagining what Keaton would look like in like a rugged wasteland, apocalyptic wasteland, wearing that thing with the goggles. Because you guys know I have a soft spot for the Nightmare suit. I think he'd look so badass. But in terms of the suits we know and love, it's the return suit for me. Not taking away from what the amazing costuming crew did for the 89 suit. It was an absolute game changer and definitely paved the way to how costuming is today. So thanks very much for watching, guys. With that being said, drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. What is your favorite Keaton Batsuit? And what is your favorite looking Batsuit from that vault shot in the TV spot? Wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, geeks and geekettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.